America, workers have a fundamental right to join a union and collectively bargain to improve wages, benefits, and working conditions. Do you understand that?
I understand, and we respect the right of every partner who wears a green apron, whether they choose to join a union or not.
Cap.
Are you aware that NLRB judges have ruled that Starbucks violated federal labor law over 100 times during the past 18 months, far more than any other corporation in America?
Sir, Starbucks Coffee Company unequivocally, and let me set the tone for this very early on, has not broken the law.
Okay. Are you aware that on March 1st, 2023,
They laughed at him.
an administrative law judge found Starbucks guilty of, quote, egregious and widespread misconduct, end quote, widespread coercive behavior, and showed, quote, a general disregard for the employees' fundamental rights, end quote, in a union organizing campaign that started in Buffalo, New York in 2021. Are you aware of that?
I'm aware that those are allegations, and Congress has created a process that we are following, and we're confident that those.
One of the most ironic things that I will admit here, and I hope no fucking, billionaire CEOs are listening, is that I have a suspicion, a sneaking suspicion, that workplaces that basically have better workplace conditions, not better workplace conditions, but like better benefits packages without the interference of unions, oftentimes have a higher rate of susceptibility to unionization. This is my own personal speculation, because the reality is that Starbucks in and of itself is unironically, in a hyper-capitalist dystopia, one of the better corporations with respect to labor conditions and specifically benefits. It's true. For those of you who don't know, the reality is, although this bar is very low, the reality is that Starbucks is unironically one of the better places to work for, even without a union. Now, I think they do that to counter unionization efforts, obviously. They don't want to concede on any aspect of it. Those conditions have definitely gotten worse overall through Uber and other applications and whatnot. But with respect to, or relative to the rest of the service industry, Starbucks workers, especially their benefits packages, are pretty fucking fat. Now, I do believe that is the reason why it creates a viable opportunity for unionization to happen. Especially when you are, when you have higher retention, you're going to have a higher unionization rate. When you're not engaging in really, really awful, nefarious workplace standards like built into your profit structure, like Amazon does with churn and constantly fucking firing people after like a couple of years of working in your facilities on purpose. I think that built in. Wait, why are people saying built in? Orsan meme is an XQC meme. Okay. I sometimes forget how fucking Twitch brained this chat is on Twitch. I always think that I'm on like an island, and then I'm reminded that that is not the case. You know what I mean? Like, anyway. Shit work conditions cause high turnover, which means a new set of unknowing workers, whereas a higher retention means that seasoned workers can gather their thoughts on the matter. Exactly. Especially if they're working side by side with people that have also been there for an extended period of time. Such is the nature of places that have better workplace standards and their susceptibility towards unionization. Didn't Starbucks only offer benefits after locations began unionizing? No. That part is not true. I am not, of course, in any way, shape, or form writing for Starbucks. I am not defending Starbucks. No, Starbucks notoriously, in comparison to other service sector jobs, have always provided a shitload of benefits. Benefits that extend to paying for your college education, or even in certain instances, I think like your HRT, right? Gender confirmation. Like literally, Starbucks is pretty fucking lived up on that front. Yeah, it's the only place that pays for trans facial feminization surgery. Now, I'm sure at a certain point, the reason why they decided to do that was probably because they wanted to avoid unionization. You know, but then why are they union busting so hard? Well, they're union busting because they don't want the control to be taken away from the capital owners. That's the whole point. Unions, in some respects, don't always have to immediately yield better benefits packages. It's just that the level of control is taken away from the hands of capital owners who are working at the behest of shareholders, and a fraction of that control is given to the base of workers. That is terrifying. That is terrifying to the capitalists. Do you understand? Terrifying prospect in general. It's more so about control. It's more so about how much power and how much influence is giving back, how much of the decision-making process could be given back to the workers themselves. Okay? That's why companies are always anti-union, no matter what. Especially as your boy Lennon correctly points out, those good benefits can also be taken away at any time without a contract. Exactly. No contract means no assurances. Okay? It's the difference between taking song suggestions and handing over the aux. Yes. So yeah. Sounds like you're saying vote blue no matter who. Yeah, I mean, if you're a fucking idiot, especially because this has nothing to do with like the Democratic Party or anything. But yeah, if you're like an absolute fucking dumbass, then you're just like in here to hear whatever you want to fucking hear. I mean, fuck the Democratic Party. Unions are completely removed from the conversation when I'm having a conversation about the Democratic Party. I often will say that it doesn't matter if you're a right-winger or a left-winger or whatever the fuck you are. Unions are about what is right. Okay, it's about taking the first step towards correcting the record. It's about taking the first step towards fairness. Anyway.
Those allegations will be proven false.
All right, Mr. Schultz, before answering the following questions, let me remind you that federal law at 18 U.S. Code Section 1001 prohibits knowingly and willfully making any fraudulent statement.
I understand that.
Were you ever informed of or involved in a decision to fire a worker who was part of a union organizing drive?
I was not.
Were you ever informed of or involved in a decision to discipline a worker in any way who was part of a union organizing drive?
I was not.
Have you ever threatened, coerced, or intimidated a worker for supporting a union?
I've had conversations that...
Okay. Well, the last one that you're going to answer is on public record. And also, if you answer that yes, that means the first two no's were a lie.
could have been interpreted in a different way than I intended. That's up to the person who received the information that I spoke to him about.
Were you informed of or involved in the decision to withhold benefits from Starbucks workers in unionized stores including higher pay and faster sick time accrual?
My understanding, when we created the benefits in May, 1 month after I returned as CEO, my understanding was under the law, we did not have the unilateral right to provide those benefits to employees who were interested in joining a union.
Am I hearing you say that you were involved in the decision to withhold benefits from Starbucks workers in unionized stores? Is that what I'm hearing?
It was my understanding that we could not provide those benefits under the law.
Mr. Schultz, have you ever asked a Starbucks worker, quote, if you hate Starbucks so much, why don't you go work somewhere else?
I'm glad you asked that question because I've read in the press that quote, and that's not exactly what I said.
Oh,
Can I tell the story? Do you mind?
I have some other questions. I'm sorry. There are a lot of people.
I think it's important to hear the facts.
All right, you'll have your chance. Will you commit to testifying in any trial where you personally are accused of breaking federal labor law, something that you have been accused of doing nearly 100 times since 2021?
Mr. Chairman, let me say under oath, these are allegations and Starbucks has not broken the law.
Okay. Mr. Schultz, were you informed of or involved in the decision to close all Buffalo area stores in November 2021, just days before area union elections, in order for Starbucks employees to listen to you give a speech on why they should vote against forming a union, a meeting the NLRB has determined was a violation of the law?
I think this is another area.
yeah, this was Hillary Clinton's potential labor secretary bid. Just remember that. But part of the reason why was because, like, of what I just... This is why I mentioned, like, because according to liberals, he was, like, seen as the guy who was the absolute best at, like, workplace protections and workplace... well, not even workplace protection, but, like, mostly just offering fat benefits packages in comparison to, like, the rest of the service sector, which is why Hillary Clinton probably thought that it was awesome. But if you were, like, not a fucking neoliberal demon, you would have recognized that, like, any CEO is going to be the absolute worst person that you could put in a position where they're supposed to be defending labor. But, of course, she did that because she wanted a fucking CEO to do that. That's it.
That I hope I get a chance to speak about. For the last 12 months, my involvement, my engagement, and my return to Starbucks has been primarily, I would say 95%, focused on the operations of our business, the customer, domestically and around the world. My involvement and engagement in union activities, despite this event today, has been de minimis. I was not involved in any issue of closing stores.
Are you aware, Mr. Schultz, that an administrator...
For the record, you can't fire someone for unionizing. Like, that's illegal. You can't threaten someone when they want to unionize. That's illegal. Howard Schultz and Starbucks, under the guidance of Howard Schultz, did all of those things more than 100 times over. You can't also offer benefits to other people that are non-unionized and then show that as a way to stop unionization efforts. These are all tampering with unionization efforts. Now, here's the thing. This is why I think what Starbucks did, and I've been saying this for fucking years now, since this began, the unionization efforts began. The reason why I think Starbucks very openly did these illegal things was because I'm under the suspicion that they want this to go to the Supreme Court, so they can basically eviscerate what remains of the tiny amount of power that the NLRB has, what remains of the tiny amount of power that labor has, like tiny amount of regulatory control or regulatory help that labor unions get when they're unionizing. Especially because a lot of these motherfuckers do it. They do it. There's no... Like, technically it's illegal, but they'll do it regardless.
Administrative law judge ordered you to record and distribute a video of yourself reading a notice to Starbucks employees about their rights under the National Labor Relations Act, how Starbucks violated those rights, and to assure that Starbucks will not infringe upon those rights in the future, and that this notice must be posted in all Starbucks stores and shared digitally to all of Starbucks employees. Are you prepared to read that notice?
No, I am not, because Starbucks Coffee Company did not break the law.
Under your leadership, Starbucks has repeatedly refused to bargain with any of the 7,000 workers in nearly 300 stores where workers have voted to represent themselves through a union. The first group of workers to win their election have been waiting more than 460 days to reach a first contract. Mr. Schultz, will you commit right now that within 14 days of this hearing, Starbucks will exchange proposals with the union, something it has refused to do for more than 450 days, so that meaningful progress can be made to bargain a first contract in good faith? Will you make that commitment?
Because the arrangement that was made by the union and the NLRB in Buffalo to negotiate one single store at a time, we have met over 85 times for a single store. We've tried to arrange over 350 separate meetings. We've said publicly, and I say it here again, that we believe that face-to-face negotiations is the way to proceed. And the reason I want to make that point is that there have been safety issues in which Starbucks managers have been outed on social media. There are privacy issues. We don't want to do it on Zoom. We are prepared to meet face-to-face on a single store issue.
Will you make a promise to this?
What they're talking about is when Starbucks national headquarters sends in a union buster, because like unions will oftentimes salt places, right? Unions will send a guy with the express purpose of unionizing that workplace. Like you get a job and it's called salting. You get a job and you start talking to people about unionization. It's like a very commonplace practice. The counter to that by corporations is done when they don't really need to do it because like they already have like, barely legal captive audience meetings where they make you sit through presentations about how if you unionize, like this place might close if it's not profitable, things like that. And the reason why I say it's like barely legal is because like the things that they're saying, the things that the hired third-party labor lawyers are saying to the captured audience of workers is basically just, if you unionize, we're going to fire you. Okay. But in a nice way, without like actually saying it, just veiled threats. So that's the reason why you don't really need to send an undercover manager, but they do. And of course, the Starbucks unions, Starbucks unionizers and people that wanted to unionize in Starbucks that weren't unionized yet, noticed that there were just some like random managers coming in and working and blasted them on the timeline. And that's what he's talking about. He's saying like, there were safety issues for our managers.
This committee that you will exchange proposals with the union so that we can begin to make meaningful progress.
On a single store basis, we will continue to negotiate in good faith. That's what we'll do.
2 minutes over.
Hundreds of
Schultz literally just said in his testimony that he can't offer raises and benefits to unionizing employees, which is illegal per NLRB. Dude can't stop. Any and every instance where the company can offer better benefits to people, you can still do that. The clip of what Ed Markey said that made him cry.
And thank you for this important hearing. And Mr. Schultz, it's good of you to show up.
Ed fucking Mackey.
You faced little choice. It's disappointing to me that it took such a long time and required the threat of a subpoena for you to appear before this committee. And it's frankly disrespectful to your hundreds of thousands of employees but we do appreciate you finally appearing here.
For the record, I don't think, for people who think like, oh, he's doing this because like maybe he's going to get fined, a couple $1 million 10 years down the line when like the unionization efforts have been trampled and long gone. I disagree. I think this is worse than that. Like I said, I feel like this level of brazen union busting, which is like openly illegal, is done so that they can fucking take it up to the Supreme Court. Okay?
All across America, workers are saying that they've had enough. Rising inequality and outlandish CEO pay for those at the top, like you, and a paycheck-to-paycheck subsistence for everyone else. The unionizing Starbucks workers are on the front lines as a groundswell of working and middle-class people were banding together to assert their right to organize, form a union, and collectively bargain for their dignity. My father used to tell me that you can't beg for your rights, you have to tell them. He
Do it,
lost
Mackie.
his finger in an industrial accident as a young man. There was no OSHA. He just said, the boss said, see you next week, John, back on the job. That was before unions. That was before rights were put on the books. And ultimately, that's
Not your oomphy roasting the Starbucks CEO. My Twitter oomphy is roasting the Starbucks CEO, which makes me feel like I'm roasting him. You know what I mean?
Starbucks workers are doing. Workers in Buffalo are the spark that's lit the fire of organizing its locations across the country, including 15 Starbucks locations in Massachusetts. The American people are watching. Public support for unions hit a record high late last year with 71% of Americans approving of labor unions. So as you sit here denigrating your workers, you're not just morally and legally wrong, you're in the minority. You're out of touch. Union busting is disgusting. I got the chance this week to meet with Caitlin, who is a Starbucks employee from Gardner, Massachusetts. Like you, Caitlin cares deeply about Starbucks. She originally started working for the company in 2006 and came back to rejoin Starbucks in 2021. When she came back, she saw Starbucks similar to how you describe it in your testimony, a company that had lost its way. She saw a company that now only cared about money at the expense of the health and well-being of its workers. So to help save the Starbucks she once knew and loved, Caitlin and her co-workers formed a union. They wanted to revive a wayward company, make your company better. But you vilify Caitlin and her colleagues for caring. You demonize them for participating in their fundamental right to organize. And worse, you and your company set out to punish Caitlin and her colleagues, withholding benefits and raises, cutting hours, and purposefully understaffing to harm their most dedicated partners. So when you give us 10 pages of testimony extolling the benefits that Starbucks offers its employees, that's not what I see. I see Caitlin. I see you squeezing the people who have made you rich with blatant disregard for the law, perhaps because you think if you can hire the lawyers and pay the union-busting consulting firms, you can get away with violating other people's.
Yeah, it's also, it should be important. A couple things should be important. If unions were not successful in cutting profits at the behest of the workers, then these guys wouldn't spend billions of dollars on fucking lawyers specifically that engage in union busting. If unions were not successful in cutting or returning some of the profits that you generate as a worker in your workplace with benefits and better compensation and better scheduling opportunities, the threat of unionization alone would not immediately yield positive outcomes for the non-unionized workplace. This is why the NLRB brings forward studies every fucking year. Unions historically have led to 10% increase in wages, and even in non-unionized workplaces, there is a noticeable increase in wages due to other union shops that improve their workplace conditions. Now, of course, when when a company chooses to offer benefits without the threat or without the actual union forming, they can take those benefits back at any given moment because there's no contract. They're not legally liable. There's no organizational capacity to basically demand that the company fulfill those promises that they made. Okay? It's almost like market competition is a good thing. I love that. Dude, listen. All I'm going to state for you, my friend, is that there is no such thing as like real market competition in the United States of America. If that was the case, companies like Amazon would cease to exist. Amazon currently owns a monopoly on e-commerce. Don't give me that actually. They only own like less than 50, or they only own like a little bit over 50%. Secondly, I think they mean that unions create competition. No, it's bullshit. There should be federal regulations surrounding this. This idea that like it's free market competition is stupid. There is no free market. There's no such thing. Well, I guess there is one. Cryptocurrency is kind of a decentralized, deregulated space, and we see how great that is, right?
Rights with disregarding their dignity and with silencing working people in America. But here's the thing. If you can pay the lawyers and the consultants and the PR specialists, you can also pay the workers a fair wage. So you say that your father was unfairly fired after he was injured on the job. Your father had no rights, and your family paid the price. That is how your workers now feel. They have no rights. They don't want to be like your father, who had no rights. They don't want their families to have to pay the price for their children the way your father had to pay a price for his children. They want rights. Your father couldn't protect himself. That's all your workers are looking for, so they can protect themselves and their families so that what happened to your family does not happen to their family. I don't think you understand that, Mr. Schultz. They're just looking to be someone who can protect themselves in a way your father could not. So, Mr. Schultz, I would just hope that you would understand that. But I'm afraid you don't. I'm afraid that
Why does he keep saying,
if you step down as CEO, that you don't understand that these people are afraid that your company will lose its way again, and that they need rights that don't just come from you, but come from the company. That's what they're looking for. It lost its way, you say you're back, but it could lose its way again. Workers should not be dependent upon you, Mr. Schultz, in your sense of right and wrong. They should be able to have laws, protections, unions that stand up for them every single day of the year. And that is something I think, Mr. Schultz, that you just fundamentally don't understand. These workers are just like your father, and they have no rights.
goddamn. I mean, I don't think he cares. I'll be honest. I mean, it's a good speech, but oh, this is Howie crying that they were calling him a billionaire?
A billionaire. Let's just get at that, okay? I grew up in federally subsidized housing. Let me finish. I grew up in federally subsidized housing. My parents never owned a home. I came from nothing.
Yeah, part of that is because, like, I'm sure your father, as Howard Schultz also pointed out, was working in a workplace where there were no adequate safety measures, and he couldn't bring home a larger percentage of the profits that he was generating for another boss. Okay? So that's why you had to take advantage of like federal government help and federal government assistance. Okay? And there's a very simple solution to that. It's don't repeat the mistakes of your father's fucking company, like or the company that your father worked for. But no, it's very clear that you haven't understood. Imagine going through all that and still coming out a shit stain. It was all for nothing. Not really. I get it. I totally understand it, dude. Talk to any fucking rich person. Like, they have class consciousness. Poor people do not. They have class consciousness, okay? That's it. The moment that they're like fucking billionaires, that means that they've already eroded all matter of labor protections as best as they possibly could to get to a point that they've gotten to. Your father.
I thought my entire life was based on the achievement of the American dream. Yes, I have billions of dollars.
Yeah, it's funny to fucking say that while simultaneously robbing others of achieving said dream. Like, as a CEO in the workplace, you have the power to allow others to also achieve this dream. And even like, not to say that like they're gonna fucking become billionaires or whatever, but at the very least, like, you could literally let them have a meaningful existence or a level of autonomy in their fucking workplace that doesn't constantly fuck them over and allows them to demand that they hire more workers so that the workload and the burden is eased, right? But of course, he doesn't want that to happen. Typical shit, you know? Oh, for the record, I do want to actually see what the defenders were saying, because I'm sure the right wing absolutely suckled on the boots of the billionaire. You know what I mean? Because they have to go to the woke, they, them, non-binary Starbucks and defend Starbucks because it's a corporation, right? It's a billionaire. A billionaire must be respected at all costs.
I earned it. No one gave it to me. And I've shared it constantly with the people of Starbucks. And so anyone who keeps labeling this billionaire thing.
No, you didn't. You didn't earn it. No one earns $1 billion, okay? I mean, I guess you can have wage laborers or wage workers now earning $1 billion. But the real way and the best way, and perhaps the only way, other than like the super hyper specific, super unique way, okay, that you are like a wage worker or a salaried employee or a contracted worker that actually has an obligation to serve the top of the hour ad break at the top of every hour, where you can avoid those ads as long as you subscribe to said contracted employee who himself is a billionaire. Obviously, me. I'm talking about myself. Which you can contribute to the billionaire fund that I have by subscribing for $5 or for free with the Twitch Prime, or by getting gifted a sub if you're lucky. Okay. Imagine there was a meritocracy where you could make $1 billion. I mean, I guess it could technically happen. The point is, he said he earned that billion, okay? No, you didn't. You didn't earn that billion. You hired others whose labor, surplus labor value you exploited. Like, that's how you earned it. One does not usually earn $1 billion through wages, okay? Through directly their own labor. That's not how that works. Hasan covering his future ass, Pepela. If you think that I will be a billionaire one day, and that's why I'm covering my future ass, do not understand any of the concepts I speak of. What do I mean by this? Because if I do end up becoming a billionaire one day, that means I've already long lost what I have advocated for in the past, because I see no way of me getting $1 billion contract from Amazon for serving top of the hour ad breaks or whatever the fuck, okay? Poor Rory, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Infinite Ryman, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. That means I've already fucking made the switch over to the profitable grift of advocating for corporations and the wealthy's best interest, while simultaneously serving you a wonderful little dream like, oh, guys, everything is actually fine, Steven Pinker style. You know what I mean? Technology has improved so much. You can watch someone in real time, non-fucking stop at the comfort of your home. I mean, why do you complain about the situation? I mean, capitalism has eviscerated global poverty. Extreme poverty is basically long gone. I mean, how dare you? That's how I would make $1 billion. That's how I would do it. HasanAbi can never be a billionaire because he will never achieve his hoop dreams. Okay, chill. Your ass would have to work at your current rate for 250 to 500 years without spending a dime. Chatters don't understand math. Exactly. People do not understand how fucking major $1 billion is. Like, they don't understand. The difference between how much money I have and $1 billion is about $1 billion. That's how much money it is, okay? Like, the difference between $100 million and $1 billion is about $1 billion. Like, think about that. That's how much $1 billion is. It's the Rectful clip. Exactly. Anyway.
Mr. Schultz, I don't mean to cut you off. We have time limits here, and you have the opportunity. I'm not cutting you off.
It's your moniker constantly. It's unfair.
No, it is not. You have had more time. I've been generous with the time.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
But, Mr. Chairman.
We have a room full of people. We have panel to go after you.
Fine,
You're not the only
fine.
person testifying.
Okay. This moniker billionaire, let's just get at that, okay? I grew up in federally subsidized housing. Let me finish.
You got real butthurt about that. Of course, Bloomberg Business Post, bootlicking ass fucking Mark Wayne Mullen. My favorite anti-labor guy is Mark Wayne Mullen now. I started my fucking dad's, he's for Oklahoma. He's like, God damn it, I can't even do his fucking accent. I forgot how he speaks. Okay, let's listen.
Chairman, you yourself.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Chairman, you don't understand it, sir. I started with nothing. I came from the dirt, sir. I came from the goddamn dirt. And I had to take over my father's plumbing business, which was in the dirt, sir. And now I am a corporation, not as big as you, sir. I will shine your shoes on the way out. Mr. Chairman, I'm so glad you're busting unions. It's making me bust. Every time a union gets busted, I bust myself, Mark Wayne Mullen.
Have been very successful. Rightfully so. Glad you have been. You've been in office for 28 years, and you and your wife have immersed.
Boo. Mr. Chairman, sir, I've studied the blade. And by the blade, I mean speaking with the boot directly down my throat. Sir, I'm doing my very best right now as I suckle on your boots and talk at the same time.
A wealth of over $8 million. And in fact, your quote on being wealthy and being a millionaire was, well, if you write a bestseller, you can be a millionaire too. If you can be a millionaire, why can't Mr. Schultz and other CEOs be millionaires and be honest too? If that's...
Wait, is Howard Schultz a billionaire because he wrote bestsellers? That's crazy. Did he do that? I didn't realize that's how he became a billionaire. I mean, I'm sure he's written a bestseller. Come on. Also, again, the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire is about $1 billion. So I love when this fucking idiot makes that argument. But not only that, but also, yeah, writing a fucking book and hiring motherfuckers nonstop to expand rapidly as you, I know he's talking to Bernie. I know. Chat, I know he's talking to Bernard Sanders. Worst thing Bernie could have ever done is make $1 million, dude. Holy fuck, they'll never stop. It's literally the number one counter Mr. Bernie Sanders, you say you're a socialist, and here you are, wealthy. It's fucked up. Just like you buying a house ridiculous. Man, Bernie Sanders is the OG house Andy. Do you not remember? He has a fucking log cabin. Bernie Sanders is the OG Gucci shirt Andy. He has a fucking Canada Goose jacket. Everything that people say about me, they've said about Bernie Sanders way back in the day, and he is like infinitely more frugal than me. I at least don't give a fuck about my commodity consumption and very openly tell people to suck my cock when they yell about what I'm buying and to stop pocket watching. So you're comparing yourself to Bernie? Yeah, right. Maybe in another life, buddy. No, I'm just pointing out that the unfortunately most effective way to counter someone that is on the left or speaking about how society could be run a little bit better, okay? The most effective counter, unfortunately, is that, you know, you have money, so shut the fuck up. It's a Burton jacket. Burton is headquartered in Vermont. Oh, okay. It was a Burton jacket. Some funny pics of Bernie Sanders in a Tesla Roadster in 2007. I'm going to lose my fucking mind about Megaphonics. Like, there's not a single goddamn issue where Megaphonics can't turn it back to Tesla somehow. I'm going to fucking lose it, dude. I swear to God. Megaphonics, stop linking. I wish I could just take away exclusively your linking privileges. Like, just one person that deserves their linking privilege to be taken away, despite still subscribing, it would be you if I could do that. They can do that, Hasan. No, they can do it. No, we can't do it. Oh, FizzCan through Fossabot, maybe?
If that's the case, then why is it that Mr. Schultz, who actually creates jobs and a bestseller of a book, isn't creating any jobs? Why is it that he's corrupt and you're not? Why is it that all CEOs...
That's a great question. If you are interested in hearing the answer, that's a great informative moment. An instructive moment, except no one wants to hear the answer. The difference is twofold. One, the difference between, like I said, $1 billion and $1 million is about $1 billion. And two, more importantly than that, and this is perhaps the most important part, is that Bernie Sanders did not generate $1 million by fucking hiring people and exploiting them. He made it because he made a publishing company more than the amount of money that the publishing company gave him. That's just how it works. Okay? That's it. Technically, the reason why Bernie only made $1 million and not more than that is because he didn't, in Mark Wayne Mullen's words, create jobs.
CEOs are corrupt because they're wealthy, and yet our chairman, who is wealthy, and I'm glad you are, you're not. Chairman, you are chair of the Health, Education, Labor, and Pension Committee. We shouldn't have a biased approach. We should have what's best for America and all those that want to thrive and work in it. And so while we politically disagree, Mr. Schultz, I applaud you for your success. And I applaud all the CEOs out there for...
Bro, he is such a, oh my God, he is such a relentless bootlicker, dude. Oh my God. I applaud you for your success, sir. I wish my daddy was like you.
For success. And all the employees that work hard, that's in the same boat, that's...
Guys, this is a hearing on Howard Schultz's under Howard Schultz's rule. Starbucks is 100 plus NLRB acted on labor violations. Okay? He is glazing this dude specifically that's in front of him because of how much he has violated the existing law.
Making their companies great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, let me respond. The senator did mention my name, I think. And I think you got an all-time record here. You've made more misstatements in a shorter period of time than I have ever heard.
Please correct
Well,
me,
if I'm
because
worth
it's
$8
all
million,
public.
excuse me.
It's all public.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right? Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
If I'm worth $8 million, that's good news to me. I'm not aware of it. That's a lie. All right? Number two.
Part of public records.
You're probably looking at some phony right-wing internet stuff. It ain't true.
Yeah. Dude, everyone's laughing at this. Get him, Bernie.
All right?
Cook
You
him.
should read beyond that. It is not true.
It's
All
part
right?
of public records.
No, it is not public record.
Okay. Well, you made
It is not
$1.7 million on your book.
public record.
You made
All right?
1.7
It is-
on your book.
Excuse me. I've got the mic now. Number
you not
two,
make the statement
I
that if
have
you want to
the
be a
mic
millionaire?
now. I've got it.
Did you
had
not
your
make
time.
that statement?
You had your time.
Okay.
All right? You're not telling the truth. Second of all, you got no evidence that I have ever said that all CEOs are corrupt. I have never, ever said that.
Probably not all, but every time you talk
probably
about
not,
CEOs,
then
you do
shouldn't
say that.
Say it. Furthermore,
It does make me a little. It does make me a little bit happy seeing fucking Bernie Sanders, an 800-year-old man, have to go through the same level of fucking brain rot against another seated American congressperson. Like, this level of bad faith argumentation starts at the tippy top and goes all the way down. It is fucking such a permanent part of American existence, dude. Big homie's chirping like a fucking gray name in the chat. It's insane.
what this hearing is about is whether or not you talk about being pro-union. Really, what this hearing is about is whether workers have the constitutional right to form a union. The evidence is overwhelming, not from me, but from the National Labor Relations Board, is that time after time after time, despite what Mr. Schultz is saying, Starbucks has broken the law and has prevented workers from joining unions to collectively bargain for decent wages and benefits.
The part being missed is that probably a lack of systemic exploitation and Bernie writing books. There is a level of exploitation that occurs that is completely outside of his control. Okay? It's like when I work for Amazon, or even when anyone else works for Amazon, as a matter of fact, or when anyone else works for, when a Starbucks worker, ironically, wants to unionize their workplace, and then someone turning around and telling them, well, Starbucks is utilizing non-fair trade beans from the third world or whatever the fuck. And it's like, brother, that's like entirely out of my control. There is also no alternative in that situation, right? There's nothing you can do. Now, there is something you could do. I mean, a level of control that you can get is through unions. I mean, that is if the unions got to a point where they could actually make statements and change, the logistics of the company that they're working on. But it doesn't matter because the goal never is decent in that conversation. There is no good faith argument over like Bernie Sanders' earnings. Not. The argument in of itself revolves, guys, I already fucking ran the top of the hour ad break 13 minutes ago. Please shut the fuck up. Oh my God. There's no real segue here because I ran it already. Jesus Christ. The entirety of chat is like fucking unbearable, dude. It is a very successful method to shift the conversation away from to perceived hypothetical hypocrisies. Okay? That's it. It's always about that. Which is why it's like additionally unbearable when I hear the left do it to other leftists. That's why I get fucking so endlessly frustrated. Because it's like, why are you doing this? You literally have a Substack. You want... No, you didn't, lol. Yes, I did, bro. Why are you telling me I didn't run? Dude, look at this. Do you see this? 11 minutes ago. Why are you telling me whether or not I ran a fucking ad break? Like, it doesn't... It blows my mind. You might not have seen it. Anyway, it's just a very viable weapon to wield against people that are not even fucking anti-capitalist in many instances, just simply advocating for a better way to move forward. Okay? That is the sad state of affairs. So when I see like dudes with a Substack who want to do exactly what I'm doing and are trying to do exactly what I'm doing, but at like a much smaller scale, try to fucking shift traffic over to their Substacks by being like, dude, this guy's fucking rich. Have you guys seen that this guy's fucking rich? Fuck this guy. It blows my mind. I'm like, bro, you're shitting on a future you as well.
Before the committee, I appreciate it. I've listened carefully, and throughout your testimony, you've made it very clear that Starbucks prefers its workers not to be unionized. But I think you know that decision is up to workers under federal law. I just have been disappointed, I have to tell you, from a number of my constituents I've been hearing from about some of the widespread anti-union efforts at Starbucks, including in Washington State, where the NLRB has certified 19 elections, as you know, at Starbucks stores. They have issued 71 complaints covering 31 unfair labor practice charges, and NLRB judges have issued 2 decisions now finding that Starbucks violated federal law. So let me just ask you a simple question. Do you agree that it is workers who get to decide whether they want a union?
Senator Murray, I agree that the person at Starbucks has the right under the law to decide whether or not they want to join a union, and Starbucks Coffee Company also has the legal right to provide a vision for our employees, which currently represent 99% of the 250,000 who wear the green apron, that our vision is a preference to maintain our direct relationship. And in terms of what you said, as I said to Chairman Sanders, those are allegations, and Starbucks Coffee Company unequivocally has not broken the law.
Let me just share with you, and I heard you answer Senator Hickenlooper with treating your employees with dignity and respect,
yes,
which I appreciate. But I am hearing from a number of folks really troubling reports about Starbucks refusing to allow credit card tipping, cutting employee hours, holding the loss of critical benefits like health care, insurance, and gender-affirming care over the heads of employees who are trying to exercise their rights. And I've even heard reports, so you know, about uncertainty for union employees about whether or not they would receive abortion travel benefits, which all your workers receive. I'm concerned when I hear from my constituents about unfair threats of any kind or denying benefits unfairly, even when the union agrees to waive its right to bargain. I would assume you would agree that that doesn't constitute treating someone with dignity or respect if they are being threatened.
Senator Murray, you and I have known each other for quite a while, you being the senator of our home state. I think you have many times actually talked about Starbucks as a model.
This is the wild part. Like, why the fuck does a CEO of a corporation like personally know a motherfucking representative or a motherfucking senator? Like, why? Like, and also, why is that not alarming? Because when you hear that, You don't think something has gone awry. Okay? Something is wrong here because, once again, this is a state built with the express purpose of improving profit margins for people like him. By that, I don't mean Washington. I just mean like the American government or all matter of governments, especially in the Western world. That's why you don't even think twice about a fucking CEO turning around and being like, you know, I've known you for a while. You know, we go way back, homie. Stop saying they've been fucking, obviously. No, they're not. These guys don't fuck, okay? They only fuck workers.
Model employer in many of the meetings that you've had and speeches that you've given. I do take offense, I have to admit, because it's quite personal when you bring up things that you've heard that are not true. We have never, ever taken any benefit away, and we never would, of anyone who was interested in joining a union. We simply have said that under the law, our understanding is we did not have the right to provide incremental benefits during the bargaining process. But Howard Schultz, the leadership team of Starbucks, the board of directors, some of whom are here today, would never take benefits away of any kind of someone who was involved in trying to join a union.
Well, thank you for the answer. I'm giving you the question, so you have a right to respond. That's why I'm asking. Okay. But you should know that those are some of the things that I hear, and I wanted to hear your response.
Yeah. Okay.
And I've also heard allegations that Starbucks has interfered with employees' ability to testify, including in Seattle, where an administrative law judge found that Starbucks did that. Can you respond to that charge?
I have no knowledge of that, Senator Murray.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
It's in profession. You know, for years, I talk to young kids every year at the beginning.
Hell yeah, Senator Tuberville. Oh my God. Why does Senator Tommy Tuberville have the same? Did he used to wear gauges? Like, what's going on? Brother, he got them meaty ass gauge ears, dude. Look at that. God damn. Yo. Bro, the gravity is winning, brother. I don't want to see what. Bro, you know, when you see ears like that, you know his balls have to be fucking taped to his leg, okay? Gravity has won this battle against Tommy Tuberville. Oh, that's funny. Okay, I can't take him seriously. I mean, he's such a freak, but okay, let's watch.
In the year about they all wanted and needed something. I always told them one thing. Only thing you get from
I love when you're an NCAA coach and you're talking about labor rights. And it's like you're talking about like the closest analogy that you could bring up is like basically kind of slavery with some extra perks. That irony is not lost on me. I wonder if it's lost on others. You know how it is. When I was doing similar labor practices to you in the NCAA, notorious for its non-exploitative labor practices.
from me and from this country is an opportunity. And you took that opportunity and ran with it. And you've got a lot of people that work for you over the years and work for your company and their company and made something out of themselves. So thank you for that. You've been a huge idol for this country in terms of what you've done.
Dude, right-wingers like defending perhaps the gayest CEO is so funny. It's just purely out of principle. Like, I love that. Like, Starbucks is like notorious, right? For like all the non-binary workers or whatever. I mean, they literally pay for facial feminization surgery. Like, and you got all these fucking right-wingers that have completely lost the culture war side of the argument, specifically so they can suck them off. because, you know, he's a CEO and he's on this congressional hearing because he violated labor laws. Like that's how the one thing that gets these culture war obsessed perverts to stop doing like Starbucks is doing a war on Christmas type shit is when the fucking CEO is under fire for rampant violations of labor law. Think about that. I love that, dude. I fucking love that. It's just, they're animals, all of them. Actually. But yet you use an iPhone? Yeah, I do. Which was made by communists. Communist workers. That's right. I do use an iPhone, dude. I do. And you know who made those iPhones? Motherfucking communist workers. Also known as the rising path, or the shining path of California.